Modern men don't lack intelligence. They don't lack opportunity. They lack one thing: inner discipline. And that's most obvious in the moments right before they go to sleep. While most end the day by running away into movies, social media, or invisible procrastination, those who live by Stoic principles do the opposite. They confront, they reflect, they release, and they prepare for rebirth. They don't sleep to escape a bad day. They sleep after extracting the lesson from it. So what exactly do they do, step by step, to stay grounded in a world gone mad? If you're a man who wants to take command of himself instead of being led around by emotions, this video is for you. Watch until the end and start changing tonight. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. There's a brutal truth no one wants to hear. Most of us aren't really living. We're just dragging ourselves through another day. A dull loop from the moment we wake up until the second we crash. And worse, we start believing that's enough. But not the Stoic man. He doesn't end the day with Netflix, TikTok, or the idea that he's earned a break. He ends it with one cold question: did I actually live with honor today? Sounds simple, but that question hits like a trial. A courtroom in your own mind, where you're the judge and the accused. No excuses, no lies, and you don't get to leave until the truth shows itself. A Stoic doesn't fall asleep without holding himself accountable. He doesn't let today's cowardice sneak into tomorrow without a fight. If he acted spineless, avoided discomfort, stayed silent when he should have spoken, or gave in to meaningless pleasure, he faces it. This isn't some feel-good journaling exercise. This is a test of backbone, because only the man who dares to stare into his ugliest moments has a shot at rebirth. You can't change what you're still busy denying. The best liar you'll ever meet is the one who's never interrogated himself. Marcus Aurelius, the revered Roman emperor, wrote in his journal to wrestle with his own conscience. Not to sound wise, but to keep himself from falling into the sweet trap of power and ego. He knew that if a day goes unexamined, it quickly becomes a habit. And habit, over time, becomes character. Character shapes destiny. You might scoff at all this, think, I don't need to be that harsh on myself, life's hard enough, let me relax at night. But relaxing without reflection only makes it easier to repeat your mistakes tomorrow with a more comfortable attitude. That's not growth, that's poisoning yourself slowly, with a smile. So how do you actually practice this? Simple. Before you sleep, turn off every device. Sit in silence, alone, no writing, no voice notes. Just brutal honesty. Ask yourself, did I carry myself like a man of dignity today? Did I live like this was my last day? Did I do anything that made me respect myself more or less? Don't rush the answers, just sit. Let the questions seep into the cracks of your mind. If something makes you flinch, that's the thing you fix tomorrow. This habit isn't easy. It'll make you lose sleep sometimes. It'll peel off the fake identity you've been wearing. But if you stick with it, it'll do what no self-help app ever could. It'll forge a man with real substance. No applause, no recognition, but you'll know. And you'll feel that rare thing. Standing tall in the dark, unafraid, unashamed. Because you know, at least today, you lived a day worth living. There's a reason so many people walk through life anxious, restless, and defeated. They try to control what was never theirs and ignore what always was. That's the great paradox of modern life and the root of spiritual weakness. A Stoic sees the line clearly: what's theirs to command and what isn't. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, put it bluntly: some things are within your control, most things are not. Your happiness or misery depends entirely on whether you understand the difference. Simple, but brutal. Because once you accept this truth, you have no one left to blame, no one to hide behind, just you and your choices. And that starts before you even go to sleep. Each night, the Stoic sits down and reviews the day, not to write fluffy journal entries like "today I felt," but to categorize. What affected me today? Was it within my control? If not, why did I let it run my emotions? If it was, why didn't I take stronger action? You got stuck in traffic, a client canceled, a coworker talked behind your back, your partner acted cold. All of it can frustrate you, but did you control any of it? No, what you control is how you respond, how you speak, how you carry yourself. You can't force the world to make sense, but you can force yourself to stand firm. And here's the thing, when you make this a nightly habit, your mind starts to reorganize. Anxiety shrinks. The noise of the day doesn't keep spinning in your head. You clean up your inner battlefield so that in the morning you don't rise out of bed already overwhelmed. This isn't some mental trick. This is battlefield conditioning. A man who doesn't separate what he owns from what he doesn't will get crushed by forces beyond him. But a man who knows the limits of his personal power, he's mentally unshakable. Because he wastes no energy on what doesn't belong to him. If today your mind got dragged around by the world's chaos, tonight is when you pull it back. Grab a piece of paper or speak it out loud. What did you try to control but couldn't? What did you ignore when you should have taken the reins? Maybe it was your eating habits. Maybe your tone of voice with your kids. Maybe a negative spiral you let run wild after a rejection. Write it down, look straight at it, and accept this. No one else is responsible for your reactions but you. Done consistently, this habit rewires your thinking. You realize you can't change the world, but you can change yourself enough to adapt, overcome, and rise. You no longer need the world to be right. You just need to be resilient enough not to break. And when you do that every night, you'll sleep better. Not because the world is quieter, but because your mind is no longer a war zone. You sleep like a warrior at the end of the day, not because you won every battle, but because you didn't lose yourself in the fight. Stop wasting another day living in weakness and chaos. Subscribe to Stoic Success now to build an unbreakable mindset, master your emotions, and face life like a warrior. Every night, you lay your head down like tomorrow is guaranteed. You assume you'll open your eyes in the morning, but whoever signed a contract with God promising they'd wake up? A Stoic doesn't go to sleep with that kind of arrogance. He doesn't see sleep as rest, he sees it as a threshold, a possible goodbye to this life. And because of that, he prepares, not with fear, but with readiness, with awareness, with honor. He asks himself, if tonight is the last, have I lived with strength, decency, and purpose? Will I leave behind a trail of chaos others have to clean up? Or have I lived with enough clarity that no one will question who I was? You might call that pessimism, but remember this, the ones who run from death are the ones who live the most forgettable lives. The ones who stare death in the face are the ones who know how to live, fully, fiercely, because nothing sharpens a man like the edge of the end. Death doesn't pick the prepared, it picks the careless. That's why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, live as if you've already died, and now you're living again for the first time. See everything as if it's the last time. Not to be sad, but to wake up. To not waste a minute. To stop delaying what's right. To love without holding back. To not let an apology rot in your chest like you've got forever to say it. And here's the point. When you go to bed with the thought, this might be the last time, you stop scrolling your phone for nothing. You stop saying, I'll do it tomorrow. You stop holding grudges because you refuse to let that rotten weight be the last thing you carry. You start living like someone worth respecting because you don't know how many more chances you'll get to become better. The Stoics weren't armchair philosophers. They were spiritual warriors, forged in the brutal reality of life, and they understood one thing well. Death doesn't knock. It breaks in. It doesn't ask if you're ready, but you can choose how you'll face it. Not as a panicked victim, but as a man who lived each day like it mattered. So how do you live this truth? No rituals, no drama. Just take a few minutes each night before bed and ask, if this is the last night, what will I regret? If the answer is too much, then you know what needs to change tomorrow. If you feel peace, you're on the right track. And don't forget to leave things clean, not just your room, but your relationships, your name at work, your reputation with friends. Live in a way that if you're gone, you won't leave behind shame or questions like, did he have any regrets? Sounds heavy, but really it's freedom. When you prepare for death each night, you don't live in fear. You live with awareness. You appreciate everything, every honest conversation, every silent moment alone, and you stop wasting your life. Because you understand, life is not an entitlement, it's a privilege. And privileges aren't meant to be squandered. A man who doesn't know how he'll live tomorrow usually ends up living like nothing matters. The one who leaves everything to go with the flow is the same man who spends his life reacting to the world instead of leading it. A Stoic doesn't live like that. He doesn't wait for inspiration. He doesn't ride the wave of circumstances. He doesn't stumble into a new day with a foggy mind and tired eyes. Before he sleeps, he already knows how he intends to live. Not because he expects perfection, but because he refuses to be dragged around by the chaos of the world. Setting intention isn't writing a to-do list. It's a declaration. Tomorrow, I will own myself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, remind yourself you'll meet rude, deceitful, greedy, arrogant people. But you have control over how you respond. And you don't let them corrupt the good that's inside you." That's a man who wakes up with intention. He doesn't expect the world to be kind. He just decides not to let it strip away his integrity. Meanwhile, most of us start the day with an alarm, a rush, and an empty head. We don't know how to live, what to face, or what matters most. And without clear direction, we get pulled into things that feel urgent but mean nothing. News, notifications, tasks someone else dumped on us. The day slips by, not lived, just reacted to. We survive, but we don't lead. The Stoic avoids that trap with one simple nightly ritual. He looks ahead and defines his path. Not by predicting every event, but by deciding what kind of man he'll be while facing them. Will I need patience tomorrow? Will I need firmness? Will I need to speak up or hold my tongue for the sake of peace? Because if you don't choose who you want to be, the world will choose for you. Setting intention is like building a frame for a painting. The details may shift, but the frame keeps the whole thing grounded. Intention stops you from losing yourself in the noise. Picture this. Before bed, you close your eyes and visualize tomorrow. Not to control everything, but to ask, how do I want to feel when challenges hit? What mindset will I bring into that meeting? How will I respond if I'm criticized? What will I do if someone disrespects me? Just a few minutes, but those minutes keep you from entering the next day like a passive passenger. The reason so many people feel lost isn't a lack of skill, it's the absence of conscious direction. They get swept up in urgency, then sigh at night. Why did nothing meaningful happen today? The answer was yesterday evening, when they should have taken a few minutes to decide, how do I want to live tomorrow? When a man has intention, he's not easily shaken. He might face temptation, rejection, or misunderstanding, but he knows where he's going. And if you can live a day like that, with direction, virtue, and control, you've already outpaced most of the world. So before you turn off the lights, don't also turn off your presence of mind. Say it to yourself, tomorrow what kind of man will I be? Don't let tomorrow be an accident. Make it a blueprint. You can't sleep in peace when you're still carrying blades that haven't been pulled out. Resentment is one of the most corrosive, heavy, and quietly destructive things a man can carry. Not for the one who hurt you, but for you. It's like drinking acid and hoping someone else suffers. The Stoic knows this. That's why he never lets hatred follow him into sleep. Sounds simple, but think about it. How many nights have you laid in bed, nearly asleep, when suddenly old conversations, old betrayals, old faces rise up like ghosts in the dark? You start replaying what you should have said, how you could have embarrassed them, how you should have struck back harder. And just like that, you're wide awake. Not because of caffeine, but because of emotional poison you refuse to release. The Stoic doesn't believe in forgiveness so others can find peace. He forgives because he deserves freedom. Forgiveness, in Stoic philosophy, isn't mercy, it's discipline. You don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you don't want to carry their weight into tomorrow. You don't hold on to anger because it's justified. You let go because it's useless. Epictetus once said, when someone offends you, remember, you're the one who chooses how to respond. No one can hurt you unless you allow it. Arrogant? Maybe, but that's the core of freedom. Nothing frees a man more than mastering his emotions in the face of someone else's foolishness. Foolishness will always exist, but you don't have to walk beside it. Before bed, the Stoic sits with his pain, not to reopen the wound, but to close it. What made me angry today? Who hurt me? Am I still holding on to revenge? And the final question, do I want to carry this feeling into tomorrow? Sometimes you need to remind yourself, the person who hurt you has long since forgotten. They're sleeping just fine. They don't care that you're tossing and turning, stuck in loops of bitterness. The only thing burning is the part of you that refuses to grow up. Forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It makes you the one who walks away from a game designed to control your emotions. Letting go of resentment doesn't mean denying the wound. It means ending the part where it controls your mind and behavior. You can remember without reacting. You can look back without hate. That's when you know you've moved on. Want to sleep deeply? Go to bed with a clean mind. No bitter echoes, no imaginary arguments, no reliving that moment of offense. The world may be chaotic, people may be cruel, but you have the power to leave all that outside your dreams. Before you close your eyes, tell yourself, I take nothing into tomorrow but what's worth carrying. That's the declaration of a free man. Free from bitterness, free from being a victim, free from the emotional rot you've dragged along for too long. Letting go isn't weakness. It's the strength of someone who refuses to be pulled into a battle not worth fighting. And when you sleep in that weightless peace, you're not just resting, you're renewing. You can't control tomorrow, but you can control how you end today. And that's where the Stoic man separates himself from the crowd. Not with prayers, not with sweet dreams, but with inner discipline. He reflects to avoid repeating mistakes. He separates what's his from what isn't. He prepares for death like a warrior who knows he's not invincible. He charts our course for tomorrow so he won't drift like a shadow. And finally, he lets go of resentment. Because freedom can't survive in a heart full of hatred. You can do the same. Tonight, you don't need to be smarter, you don't need to be luckier. You just need to be braver. Brave enough to face yourself in silence. If you can do that, night after night, little by little, you won't just sleep better, you'll wake up as someone else entirely. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.